Alright guys, welcome back to the channel and to the garden. In today's video we're just going to be doing our early November garden tour. Sort of full sort of tropical style garden here in Leicestershire, UK. Just give you an idea kind of what's growing still, what's done well this year, and also kind of what hasn't and struggled a bit. We'll just kind of start over on this side here, and you can just see Ragusa Rose is going into its sort of autumn color here. Quite kind of nice leaf patterns that you get on these, you know, as it's kind of losing its leaves and starting to kind of shed its stuff for the year, going into a bit of state of dormancy. You can just see kind of the end of the flowers there, which all get trimmed back just as we come before the light frost here. One thing you will notice, I generally stop sort of weeding around about the end of sort of September, and I won't pick that back up again until right before the first frost. Part of the method behind this is just kind of regenerating the soil. Anything that's kind of weeds and grown out will just kind of die off and cover the soil, giving a little bit of mulch back, and also again providing nutrients back to the ground as well here, just under the cover here, which if you haven't checked out the video of all the covers we put up, certainly check that out, although we'll take quite a look at a few of them today. This is our Trachycarpus Princeps hybrid, done really well this year actually. You can just see here underneath, base has kind of thickened out, got a little bit of basal lift, but we've backed the dirt back onto that just to help that grow. Quite a few new leaves here, and again it's kind of hard to pick up, but you do get that kind of lovely white underside. Got this under protection. This is the second year it's been in the ground. Now with this particular one here, again, basically what we're trying to do with that, just provide a little moisture protection. As you can see, the ground has been absolutely soaked over the past sort of month or so it is a bit concerning going into winter, and especially as we're getting a bit milder temperatures, which are spurring some plants to jump back into growth here, which is always slightly worrying. Second year Musabastu here, really torn up by the winds, unfortunately, but it has trunked and put on the two pups this year, so actually done quite well. This will be getting protected once again right before the first frost. But with that said, I may be doing a protection method video where we might take a look at a few different protections and experiment in the garden this year, similar to last year. Just following on from that though, as you can see, this one's a bit of a disappointment. This is the biggest this little colocasia, pink China colocasia leaf got this year, unfortunately. It must be just in the wrong spot, and I think the dry spring probably really didn't help it either, as these do quite like moisture, which is a bit unfortunate, but again it kind of gives us an indication that that may not be the right spot for next year. Yucca is putting out a flower spike, which is, again, I've got a couple of these putting out flower spikes in the garden here. Again, I think it's been fooled into thinking spring with all the kind of mild weather we've been having. Clematis off the back here, still got a couple little flowers hanging on, doing all right, and again, it's kind of spread down that fence this year. You can just see back in here, the kind of darker patch, that is where the hops were, or are, if you will. Those got kind of really knocked back by the drought this year, but it should make a full recovery for next year. You can see Trachycarpus palms, got quite a few of these in the garden at this size. A few have done better than others. This one hasn't done too bad, but you can see all the added moisture we're getting at the moment is causing a bit of yellowing, although it is still putting out new fronds here as well, which is always quite nice to see. And as we pan back here, we've got the backdrop of the hardy fuchsia. Got a couple varieties of these in the garden, which you can just see some of the reds down here. We'll take a look at these in a minute. But yeah, has done really well. Great little doer for me, but you can see we are kind of losing this path here, so we're going to need to kind of work and trim that back, I think, in the spring. Just as we pan across this way into the center bed, before we make our way down, eventually down to the back in the jungle area, which you can just see down there. We've got our azalea. This is the pink one. This one is starting to put out some of the new growth here as well, if I can just get that to zoom correctly. Some new growth, and this is a great flower for the spring. Gives us a load of spring interest here. Again, this little top bed is kind of a bit more of a spring interest bed as well, so kind of year-round bed. What we'll do is come around to the front here, and as you can see, yeah, we've got a lot still weed-wise and everything else, but again, I'm not concerned at this point now. You know, really it's about kind of getting soil structure good for next year. Toad flax is just coming out of flower here. You can see underneath the snapdragons and the waggy Princeps hybrid doing quite well, and again under cover with it being such a small plant, I do want to give this one a little bit of moisture protection. A bit of a ghetto structure, you could say, but really anything to give it that protection is going to help in the long run here. Just we come back up, some of our larger Trachycarpus fortunei palms, those have done quite well. I've had to trim back a lot of excess. Unfortunately, a lot of the previous leaf that came on the tree really just kind of didn't want to make it through. So we've trimmed that back. A lot of what you see here is this year's growth. And again, with this being second year in the ground now, I do expect that after about a year or two further from now, we really should have a nice kind of head on that and get some good recovery. Again, these would be chopped out of a field and kind of stuffed in pots, which really doesn't help the plant initially, kind of, you know, really kind of struggles to get going here. But with that said, yeah, it is still trucking along, so we can't really complain too much. The sedum blue spruce, you'll see a lot of this around the garden. Really easy plant, evergreen, and for propagation wise, you literally just break a piece off. Really easy plant. I started off with one, and you know, you'll see as we go through the garden how many little patches we've got of this now. But a great doer, again, lovely for kind of evergreen, and I find it works well at the base of palms and things like that, as it's not a hugely moisture rich plant, so we're not really taking too much from the palms if we're planting that there. Got the Dusty Miller here. Again, I love the contrast you get with his foliage. Some of that white foliage does tend to be nearly evergreen for me. I think we're right on the verge of it here in Leicestershire, UK. But it does come back every year, better than the last. And again, I love that kind of white foliage it puts against the greens. You can just see this one here. It does have the remainders of its yellow flowers on it. Again, lovely, again, contrast that we're getting here. Standard rosemary. I know not really a tropical plant, but you can see it is going into flower, which again, I think it's in a kind of false state of spring, unfortunately. But again, lovely evergreen, does provide some nice structure. And again, you know, one of these bushes that just will kind of go over time. Once this gets a bit bigger, I may try and pull this up into a standard and make it almost like a tree. But again, it's got a few years, I think, until we get to that. Just in here, we got our pink flowering and purple flowering rhododendron. There's actually two different trees down here. Got decent sized trunks, but again, the spring interest for this bed. Just we pan across, got your hart's tongue fern just down there. You see some of the pond grasses are starting to brown off for the year as we just take a little look at the water feature and our sedum and sempervivum bed, which will come around this way to take a look at that. And as you can see here, they do typically kind of shrink down as the weather gets cooler. But again, this whole bed lights up in flower in the spring. Really looks quite nice, especially with the water feature coming down. See the aeonium cuttings here we've got. Those I believe I'm going to test out this year. Did start off as a single head. You can see how many heads of come out. I have taken the mother plant and put that inside as of about a week ago. Again, I will keep that one inside. We might try some of these outside. Fingers crossed we get a mild winter here. Just see Dicksonia antarctica 4-foot tree fern doing quite well. Some of the grasses and stuff, all that will need to come out once we got the first frost kind of come through and knock a lot of that back. You can just see our large triple trunk chamaerops. We'll take a look at this from the other angle as the sun's kind of poking through now. But if you just take a look underneath, you can just see I have let it kind of grow in a bit here. I typically let this grow in for the winter, just providing a little bit extra protection. I will trim this all back out once spring does come around. Again, exposing those lovely triple trunks that we have in here. Plant has put on some decent height. I would say we're up at least sort of 6 inches this year nearly. So really quite done well. One of the oldest palm sets that I have in the garden. This one was originally here before I moved in. And again, we've kind of, you know, use it as a bit of a focal point here. Just under here, if you look, we've got the Yucca rostrata, which again, we'll take a look at that when we come around to the front. And just panning this way before we move forward, you can just see our largest Trachycarpus palm. Again, really tattered leaves as the old leaves. Got some new leaves coming in, done quite well. And again, I'm expecting a decent recovery. And you can see we've got some of the orchids still out here. Just stuffed into the trunk. Again, hopefully we can get some to flower, but those will come in just before the first frost. If we come back this way before we head down, and again, guys, apologies on the mess in the garden. Got some of the summer, sort of spring bluebells and things coming back up here. Just as we come down, you can just see cordyline has done quite well. This was knocked back heavily, nearly spear pulled. It is starting to put on the very startings of a trunk, if you can just see in there. Again, doing quite well. And hoping that I can get some good size on these here. Just as we come back this way, we've got another one of our yuccas. This patch was in the garden when I moved in, has done quite well, and does typically send up 6 to 10 flower spikes a year. Really kind of nice in this kind of center part of the garden here. Now, as we take a look at the Persian silk tree, unfortunately, it is kind of shedding its leaves for the year. Hoping we get a nice recovery. I mean, this should be hardy down to about sort of -10 or so, so really should be okay moving forward. Just behind that, with all my wife's decorations on here, you can just see we've got the Pieris Forestii. This one does have that lovely reddish foliage when it comes out, and then the kind of white little flower bells, if you will, that it does produce. Again, great little plant, and again was in the garden, let that, and it's had a good little comeback here. Just if we pan this way now, another one of our large Trachycarpus palms. Now this one flowered this year, one of the only ones that really went into full flower. The others tried but didn't quite get there. You can see the remainders of that flower head there. No seed or anything from it, but again, lots of new growth at the top here. Hopefully the sun isn't blinding you. Down here, Brunnera, done quite well. The Brunneras have done well in my garden, and again, I love the kind of leaf pattern you get on that as well. The little yucca that did pretty much die and we cut back, that has come back a little bit. I'm going to provide some override protection just on the frostiest nights here, but again, you know, it has at least kind of tried to grow this year. Xanthodecia, interestingly, and apologies on that mess there, this is part of, well, it's blown over. This is our new pond project coming here, so I won't show too much, but just why that's there. So Xanthodecia has pretty much died back to the ground in the sort of drought times, and now we've had quite a rain for nearly a month now. You can just see here starting to come back out of growth. Just behind that, we've got our 5-headed cordyline. Now this one, again, knocked back to the ground. It is nearly 5 foot tall now, and it's got 5 decent sized heads in there. I'm quite looking forward to that sort of shooting up and seeing what that will look like as a multi-headed sort of specimen. Next to that, another patch of the yuccas. Another one of the Trachycarpus palms. Done all right, but you can just see, I think we've got some issues with kind of molding. Don't think it's getting the best airflow in here, but still putting out decent sized leaves. Under here in this big mess underneath our large rhododendron, this is the purple flowering one, getting ready for spring. You can just see some of the new flower buds here, but again, as an evergreen plant, you know, I do quite like the look of these. We've got a few of these around the garden. Just coming down this way, now one that was an experiment for me. It has survived, but not thrived. And that is our little blue star fern you can see in here. Now, typically these would be rated, unfortunately, it's not doing great on the zoom here. Now, typically these would be rated as sort of house plants, but I did leave this one in the ground last winter unprotected. Took a -6C, and it has come back, so it just kind of shows that, again, they're a bit hardier than we typically expect. And now you're just looking at this mess of where the hardy fuchsias come in. There are some pink china down here hidden, and again, I don't think they've got enough sun, so they haven't sort of really sized up this year. And just looking around this way from the bed here, just see again that kind of mess of hops that was there. We do have some new growth in there, so I'm not, you know, I'm not worried the plant's not going to make it. I just think this season it just absolutely got knocked to the floor. Another yucca that's gone into flower, which you can see off the back here. That hopefully will get its flowers out before we kind of go into winter. Just as we come down this way now, coming onto the mini golf course. This is our 6-hole mini golf course. Again, if you're kind of new to the channel, you haven't seen it, this is an old project on the channel. If you're interested to see how this was built, or any of the kind of trick shots and things we've managed to do on here, I guess if you have one in your backyard, you got the time to do it. Check those out. There's a lot on the channel on that, so if you're interested here. A little bit less planted of an area. Again, and apologies on the back on the right there. That is where our new summer house is going in, kind of getting prepared for that. You can see yuccas on here. We've got a couple Trachycarpus palms. This one has done okay, but it again kind of struggled, I think, in the beginning of the year due to the drought side of things. Coming this way, another one, a bit shorter leaves on this. Again, I'm waiting for this to kind of size out here. Just as we look this way, you've got your budula that has sized up reasonably, just gone out of flower. We've got the wisteria here. Again, kind of starting to lose its leaves for the year, but has creeped up, growing a reasonable sort of trunk size as well, starting to in there. So quite happy with that. Now, Sabaria, this is sort of died back for the year. It is deciduous, so, fully to be expected. You can see all of the new flower buds or leaf buds come in. And when this does put out its first leaves, it's really quite a stunning kind of contrast in colors and things like that. One I'd highly recommend. If you're looking for something, again, a bit of a kind of spring interest. Just as we pan this way, you can see large camellia. That one is a sort of reddish flowering one. Looks quite nice. So you have to check out our spring videos when it does come out. You can see just backing onto it now, we're looking at that same rhododendron there. Just as we pan around this way, you can see our yellow bamboo has done reasonable well. Again, yucca in here has done quite well. The bamboo did run out of its barrier, so we have to be a bit careful on that one. You can just see, looking this way, this yucca has gone into a couple more flower spikes, and in the background you just see in the large Musa Bastiu clump, which we'll come and take a look at now. Now this is the Tetrapanix that we transplanted. Again, it's going into its autumn color, but the one thing that I've noticed with this is, it is still kind of holding some leaves and everything else. So with that said, I'm really, fingers crossed, we've managed to transplant this and keep it living here. This little baby shamrocks hopefully will do well this year. I've tried 3 in this spot. This is the 3rd one. It's the only one that's kind of made it past the season, so I don't know if it's just wrong place for the plant really, but again, we're going to let that go through winter and kind of see what happens here. Again, apologies on the overgrown area back here. Again, we're doing a lot of work back here as well. You can see Shamrops Volcano. This has done really well. It's one of the B&M purchases. It does have a couple seeds, if you can see down there, so hopefully I'm going to get those out and we may try planting those. Probably use some of Eddie's methods over at Wholly Tropicals. He's got some lovely seed grow alongs and really kind of going to get into that in the spring, I think. Great way for inexpensive plants, really. It's considering some are quite rare and hard to get hold of. Trachycarpus palm again, decent sized trunk. That one's come up reasonably well. Some new fronds on that. We got the variegated grass, and then of course here another Musa Bastiu clump, which will be getting protected for the winter. You can just see if we pan this way, this is the really interesting overhead cover I've built over this. Now this is just really to protect things like our Microdasis apuntia cactus, and again I've let that kind of grow in. Hopefully the plants will provide a little bit of protection for themselves. Some of the cacti in there, again, not necessarily hardy, but we'll just see what happens on that one. Butia done quite well here. Some new fronds that have come out. Again, I will be only protecting this if we get down to the kind of -5, -6s. Trunk size, it should be big enough, hopefully, to take some of the kind of lighter frosts and things. But we'll see. Again, doing all right. Good drainage underneath there. So hopefully that's going to help that plant get through. See the Cycas revoluta that we has flushed this year. New flush, we can just kind of see inside here. Got just, again, really cheap, easy temporary cover over it here just to stop that moisture, and hopefully that will get through in there. Potential area for the new pond project, I don't say too much about. Big Musa Bastiu clump. Now that's probably nearly 18 foot tall to the top now. Good sized trunks on these, if you can see in here, which I can get my hand in. We're talking quite a thick trunk there. You wouldn't be able to get your hands around that. Much larger than a Coke can sort of thing. Colocasia, again, end of season now. This one did go into flower, but as you can see, it is kind of deteriorating leaf-wise. In the back here, got a lot of this ground cover being Persicaria, Purple Fantasy, which you can just see in there. These were just cuttings, and again, it's done reasonably well this year. Back in the back of the mess there is actually a Trachycarpus palm, which I'll pull out to show you. You can see some of these self-seeded snapdragons. These do seem to do well, and some do come through evergreen, which is quite interesting for me. Onset Morellii, done really, really well this year. Huge trunk on that now. This is going to be coming in. I had contemplated protecting in place and doing an experiment with it, but in some respects it's the largest one I've got, and I kind of want to see how big I can actually get it to grow before it's impossible to bring it inside, and I will need to protect in place. But for now, still looking okay, putting out new leaves, and again, this kind of mild weather is kind of coaxing it on. In the back here, you've got your Regerzia pinnata, new plant this year, and again, hoping that will take off next year. You've got your black bamboo, if you can see just in the back there. Again, I think this clump may have flowered, and this is kind of just what's remaining and trying to do something, but we'll have to see. Again, it's been in the ground a couple years now, and just have to see what happens there. Got another Trachycarpus palm back here. This one is fully covered over and really only gets good light in the spring and winter time when this one comes out here. Next to that, one of the new waggies that went in this year, put out some decent growth, again reasonable trunk size, and yeah, it's done quite well in this spot. Hopefully it's going to kind of really take off once we get down here. The common columbine, again down here, kind of comes in, does its flower. Quite like the interesting flowers that it sort of puts out. You can just see the remainders of that there. Behind that, we've got a few more yucca. You can see the yucca puck here. Again, only rated down to -2, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with this one this year. Another baby shamrops. That's one we picked up from Morrison's. Gonna try a few of these in the ground. And just down below that, you've got a baby Fatsia spider's web. Put on some decent growth this year. You know, pretty happy with that so far. Coming looking this way, just underneath our green bamboo, or Shamrops Volcano. This is the one that was in the wobbly pot when it came from B&M, but has done quite well. And again, I'm going to kind of weed out the base of that just before we get into winter. Few new leaves on this one, and again, really kind of, I think it's finding its way now that's gone to ground. We've got the Cycas revoluta. This one won't be protected with any overhead protection. I'm hoping that the bamboo will provide that. Just as we step back, I just want to show you the kind of size of this bamboo clump. So if we come back here, you can just see now, probably nearly 18 to 20 foot tall and about 12 to 15 foot wide with a 2.5 foot depth on that one. And that was one plant that's filled in this about 4 years ago here. So it really shot up, and most of that is new canes from this year. Just as we come this way before we go into the jungle area, just to show you another small baby shamrops. This one's done quite well, probably about 8 new leaves on this one, and it is starting to try and pop out the base here. Just as we come this way, you can just see we've also got the Euphorbia Ascot Rainbow, which went in this year, has done quite well. Does have a couple leaves of kind of unvariegated, if you will, compared to these. Always interesting to see these plants kind of grow and sort of evolve, and lovely sort of flowers on that. But again, a little bit of interest as we kind of peer into the jungle area here. You've got the waggy palm. So it's your Trachycarpus wagnerianus. This one has probably done the best out of my waggies. You can just see here reasonable trunk size. About 5 new fronds this year so far. Still putting them out. Lovely kind of structure on that one. And just peeking behind that, we've got our Canna Cleopatra, which will just come around now to show you. And you can just see here, part of the idea behind the jungle area is to build an area that has added moisture and humidity, really just to help with those types of plants that do enjoy that more, such as your tree ferns. We are planning on a few more tree ferns for this area, but for now it's kind of starting to look a little bit more like a tree fern forest, which was what kind of the ideal look was here. Panning this way, we've got our 1 foot Dixonia antarctica, so small little 1 foot trunk underneath there, but put out some huge fronds, really quite cool in that place. And it has sort of, again, made its own little winter protection you can see in there, sort of more of a natural protection. Bamboos looking this way, you got your golden bamboo. We've also got the green, some reasonable size canes on in here, done quite well. And again, these all went in roughly the same time, so about 4 years ago here from sort of half-dead plants. And you just see as we pan this way, coming this way now, this is the Canna Cleopatra from the other side. You can just see it is trying to put out a new flower again. Flowered this year, really kind of lovely flowers on that. But still, again, false sort of spring at the moment, basically. Down next to that, we got the blue Festucia grass, should be evergreen here. Again, putting a kind of nice kind of color variant there. Baby Dixonia antarctica, just starting to put out the startings of, well, I wouldn't really call it a trunk yet, but you can see that it is a Dixonia antarctica under there. And again, I'm going to interested to kind of see that grow. Percamanthus. Now, this probably will not survive the winter up here, but again, quite inexpensive at B&M this year. I'll probably end up picking a couple more up. We are trialing one just this way, not spin you around too quick. That one is actually in the pond, in the water, so hopefully the water might keep the temperature just that slight little bit higher, and it may get through. But again, experiment, we'll have to see. Just down here, we've got the blue star fern, Philobodium aureum, again similar to the one that we had planted earlier in the video that you saw. I'm going to try this one outside, but with a lot more protection this year. Hopefully it will get through. I think that might have been the problem last year with the other one. Got your large 2 foot Dixonia antarctica, another 2 foot Dixonia antarctica, and again you can see the variance in fronds. huge fronds on this one, and a bit smaller on this one. I mean, still quite a notable plant, but with that said, you know, there is quite a variance between tree ferns that you get here. We got the onset morelli. This one fell over in the storm, so it's propped up at the moment. That will be coming in for dry store soon. We've got another Trachycarpus palm. Again, this one all went in at the same time. This one stayed reasonably green and probably done the best. And I think, once again, this kind of microclimate that it's got here has helped it to do so. Just as we take a look in, you can just see in there, we've got our, and I'll try and zoom in here, our carnivorous plants. So we've got the Sarsinia purpea and the Sarsinia farmanii, both done quite well, and they should be absolutely hardy for us in the UK, in the ground, and they do need that state of dormancy really to do well, you know, more than a season here. Just as we come down into the canopy, you can see the Diropterus fern here right in front of us with a sort of 3 to 4 inch trunk. Looking up the stream now, you can just see we've got quite a few ferns, sedums, and things like that, as well as the creeping jenny, which you can see all coming down here, really kind of filled in nicely. Give us quite a natural look, I would say, off the back there. Coming this way, got a Brunnera. We've got our Heuchera marvelous marble. There is a old tree fern stump under there, which I'm hoping maybe one day will do something. And interestingly, you know, even when it's not growing from the crown, it can still put down roots, which that one has done. It's fully rooted itself into the soil now, so maybe we may get a recovery some point in the future, but we'll have to see. Musabastu, this is the one that did probably the best first year plant, but you can see here, really untouched by the winds, and I think again the protection in this area has provided that. Looking up above that, we've got our Nadina, or heavenly bamboo. Quite a decent sized plant, nice sized trunks on this, and it does that kind of end of year flowering in sort of berries and interest. Looking up towards the top of the canopy, we've got our laburnum golden chain tree. You've got your budula, and panning over that way, we've got the camellias just in the back there, as well as the large bay tree. Let's just come down into the jungle path now. You can just see as we look down it, quite overgrown, but I'm kind of liking the idea that it's, you know, it feels like you got to push through the plants just to kind of get through, which is the idea I wanted here. Got an azalea down here next to the blue festucia. Before we go down, you can just see this cordyline died and is trying. We'll kind of see what happens with that. The zebrana, or zebrina grass, Miscanthus zebrinus, done quite well. Again, only really started putting on its variegation towards the end of the year here. Just as we start to creep down the path, got to push the plants out the way here. You've got your pink china. This one's done quite well. This was a B&M purchase. We were unsure if it was pink china, but we can definitely confirm now it is definitely pink china. Came back from the ground last year, no problem. You've got another Heuchera down here. We've got some of the other sort of standard ferns in here as well. Next to that, we've got the Polypodium vulgar. Quite an interesting looking fern there. We've got the Aphanis crispa down in the middle. You can't really see, it's getting well grown over. We've also got our small Dixonia antarctica. Now, this one's probably done the best out of all of mine. It has put on a reasonable sized trunk now. Again, in just a year, it's put on nearly 2 to 3 inches of trunk, which does show that, yeah, there's certainly a variance in sort of how quick these things can grow. Coming down this way, and we'll do a kind of back pan onto the jungle path. You just see if we look down on this side, we've got our Fatsia polycarpa, standard Fatsia here, japonica. Again, done quite well, stays nice, dark and green at the top there. As you can see here, we've got the Phoenix robellini, which has now just got a little bit of overhead protection. This one I am going to be trialing out in the ground. You see it's got a reasonable sized trunk, and it has actually grown about 2 to 3 inches of trunk this year, which is quite interesting for, you know, very fast growing palm in my eyes here. Down here, we've got a very sad Washingtonia robusta. I don't think this is going to do anything. I think it's on its last legs. Not going to protect it or do anything. I'm just going to let it kind of do its thing, and it probably will not make it, unfortunately. Coming down here, we've got our Blechnum volcano, or Brazilian dwarf tree fern. It's trying to put out some new fronds. Again, I don't know if this is the right position for it. Got some common lupins next to that. Nice little kind of contrast in leaf pattern. Coming up this way, we've got our Colocasia metallica, which again, I'm going to try them out in the ground, but I don't have much hope. I don't think these are going to be as ground hardy as the pink china, although there are other Colocasia varieties that are similarly hardy. Another baby Chamaerops in there. We've got our Japanese painted fern, which again is starting to lose its kind of colorations for the year, coming to the end of the year now. We've got the I always mess up the name on this. I think it's the Amiria bellerica. Quite a cool little plant. Now this does flower. It should be evergreen, and it produces this kind of, almost like the kind of baby's tears type of plant here. Quite interesting, spread quite a bit, done well this year. Got standard begonia. We've got the neobaltum here, Polysticum neobaltum, that's done quite well, evergreen as well. Next to that, you've got your Cratomium fortunei. We've got the Phlebodium aureum divana. Now this is your variation of the blue star fern. Again, fairly sort of stiff leaves. It may do well outside, but I've got it in the pot, as you can see here, as I will bring this in for the coldest nights. A bit more of a rare blue star fern, but again, quite nice kind of interest, as you can see here, very different leaf patterns. We've got the Cratomium varcolicola. Now this is a slightly lighter and smaller compact version of the fortunei. Got a couple of these dotted around as well. Here is our largest sort of native Diropterus fern. You can just see the size of this trunk. Really quite a decent size. I mean, it almost gives you an impression of looking like a cyathea of some sort. Done really, really well, and that's up to about sort of 5 and a bit foot. You can see here we've got the Spanish moss trailing around, so this is your Tillandsia ensinoides. I'm going to try some outside, but I will be moving again some of this into the bathroom, keep that high humidity for the winter as well. Panning this way, if we take a look, you've got your Musa sycamensis everred. Kind of lost a lot of its coloration, but I think that's the UV levels. Nice sort of paddle size shaped leaf here we've got on that one. Just looking down in, we've got your Aerosaura brilliance again. Looking down from the top, you see that almost kind of orangey golden look. Quite nice on that side. Giving you a little bit more of a close-up here. We come in, you can just see there's our Perpea, which again should be ground hardy, but does need that moisture and dormancy period really to make it and do well. Next to that's little Persicaria cuttings, and we've got the pink striped formium. As we come down this way, you can just see down here another rhododendron as we're looking out onto the water feature and pond area. And we'll pan this way. As you can see down here, we've got our double-trunked Dicksonia antarctica, new that went in this year. A little bit of straw protection alongside of the moss, just help that through. Got another of the Metallica. We've got the Diropterus cristata the king, which again, if I can get that to zoom right, got these interesting kind of tufts at the end of it. Quite a cool little fern and becoming more popular these days. Got some common hart's tongue fern. We've got the Blechnum spicant, which is your hard deer fern. Again, I've got quite a few of these now. Quite cool, and I'll show you them in a minute here when we come to the new kind of pond area and bridge. Another Phoenix robellini. This one stayed in the pot. This one will probably get moved in essentially just before the first frost again, but we'll have to see. Again, I'm kind of experimenting a little bit with these this year. Now with this one here, it hasn't grown as much as the one that's in the ground, and again it just shows the kind of difference of ground and sort of not. We've got some of the Fargesia small bamboos as we come in here. Coming this way, you can just see another 1-foot Dicksonia next to our Red Star Quarterline. Again, hopefully the overhead protection from the big bay tree will help these to get through. Another 6-inch Dicksonia antarctica, just sort of buried under there. As we pan this way, across the pond, into the new area with the bridge, you can just see down here we've got some of the rhododendrons, as well as we've got the Dicksonia fibrosa. So this is your sort of medium-sized tree fern, otherwise known as the Wekiponga, or golden tree fern. Quite an interesting one, just starting to put a trunk out. And again, we've just kind of got this in this year. It is still in a pot. It will be moved again until I can essentially find somewhere permanent for it. Cyathea cooperi, still in a pot down here, putting out its new frond. You can just see a couple new ones coming out there. We've also got the Azalea Hotshot. This has some lovely kind of red little flowers and variegated leaves. Again, quite a cool looking plant on here. Next to that, we've got a Washingtonia that made it through no protection last year. Again, we're going to kind of see what happens. I think it's struggling. It is in a raised sort of bed area, but once again, we're going to have to see on that side. As we come this way, we've got the fern here. So this is your Pteris albionata. You can see lovely kind of leaf patternings on that. Just below that, we've got our Korean rock fern. Again, I'm trying to remember the original name of this one, but again, quite cool. It says Susamensis on this one. Then we've got the Polylinear folia. So it's another fern, but very thin leaves, as you can tell. Again, something slightly different here. As we come back out this way, you can just see as we pan across the water feature, you can see we've got quite a few ferns and mosses growing in here. Another one of the Blechnum spicant. And of course we've got our Formium, so this is your sundowner. And looking up this way, we've got our new 3-foot Dixonia Antarctica tree fern, sat sort of just atop this area here. As we come back, just to kind of show you the last couple ones here, got another Fatsia spider's web done well on this side, and just looking back over now. But of course, yeah, with that said, guys, just a really kind of brief overview, a bit of a November tour, see what's going on. Be interested to see, your thoughts. What have you done winter protection-wise? Also, if you are planning any experiments this year, be really interested to hear that. If you haven't checked out the friends of the channel, they'll be in the comments section below. If you have not subscribed to the channel, certainly feel free to do so. Join our amazing community. And as well as that, YouTube thinks you should check out the video just over here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.